Let's think. Do you sometimes feel that your student is disengaged, bored, uninterested, or even aggressive? If you have said yes even once, then this is the right place for you to be now. Welcome to the webinar, Bettering Teacher-Student Relationship, where we'll discuss why this may happen and what to do. Let me introduce myself. My name is Olga Ushnikova, and here in the slide you can see some information about me. Our today's meeting's agenda. Firstly, we'll discuss the notion of affective factors and their influence on the learning process. Then, we'll dwell upon such affective factors as motivation, anxiety, and self-confidence. We'll specifically focus on what causes them and how to deal with them. Finally, we'll discuss some more strategies of dealing with affective filters. When we think about our lessons, we tend to focus on concepts and intellectual skills that we want students to develop. In other words, we think about our classroom primarily as an intellectual space where students acquire knowledge. However, the research on learning suggests that students' emotions and motivation play an important role in the learning process. In brief, this aspect of learning focuses on how learners feel about their learning and the lesson environment. Stephen Krashen, a famous American researcher on second language acquisition, cites motivation, self-confidence, and anxiety in the affective filter hypothesis as three categories of variables that play a role in second language acquisition. In essence, when feelings or emotions such as anxiety, fear, or embarrassment are elevated, it becomes difficult for language acquisition to occur. Second language learners are influenced by the following factors, such as age, society, environment, and so on, among which affective factors are of great significance. If affective factor is negative, it's called the affective filter. The affective filter has commonly been described as an imaginary wall that rises in the mind and prevents input, thus blocking cognition. In a position when the affective filter is lowered, the feeling of safety is high and language acquisition occurs. In fact, current research in neuroscience seems to support Krashen's theory that stress affects thinking and learning. Affective factors may be as important for successful language learning, if not more so, than ability to learn. Why is affective filter important in the classroom? It's not enough simply to teach. It's not enough to deliver instruction, even if it's made comprehensible to students. If students' affective filters are elevated, language acquisition will be impeded. Error correction, embarrassment, incomprehensible input, forcing output too early can raise the affective filter. As a result, students feel bored, disengaged, self-conscious, anxious, disinterested, and reluctant to participate. Why is it important for us to understand about the affective filters? Please pause the video and read the answer. The lower the filter, the more input is allowed to pass through. Students who are highly motivated, confident, and safe are more open to input. In this slide, you can see how efficient learning becomes when the affective filter is low. Please pause the webinar for some seconds and read. And now, let's deal with the most impeding affective filters. We'll begin with motivation. Pause the video and jot down some ideas in response to the following questions. What motivation do your students bring to the course? Are they enthusiastic about learning? Do they think they can do well in the course? There are two types of motivation, extrinsic and intrinsic. The extrinsic motivation comes from the desire to win awards or avoid punishment and is related to money, awards, prizes, grades, and appraisals from the outside world. Intrinsic motivation is related to people's internal needs or the internally rewarding consequences, like the feelings of achievement, competence, and self-determination. The intrinsic motivation is more important than the extrinsic one, as in the pyramid-shaped hierarchy of needs, the physical necessities are at the bottom, while the self-actualization is at the top. Motivation can be affected by students' beliefs about intelligence and learning. For example, if they believe that intelligence is fixed, you have it or you don't have it, they may not see the point of putting in extra effort. If they believe that learning is fast and easy, they may lose interest when they encounter challenges that take time to solve. Finally, students who attribute success to innate talents rather than effort may be less motivated to work. This can happen whether they believe they have the ability, oh, I'm good at listening, what's the point of studying? Or lack it, I'm not good at writing, what's the point of trying? Finally, students might lack motivation because they don't have any control over the learning process. The course content, assignments, deadlines are set up by instructors. However, research in psychology tells us that we are more motivated when we have a sense of choice and control over the task. You may ask, what to do? Please pause the video for some minutes and think how to answer this question. Then, could you please read the information in the slide? Welcome back. While educators don't have complete control over students' motivation, they can still influence it. Choice, voice, and relevance are three great motivators we can leverage in the classroom. Providing students with opportunities to select topics to study helps them feel motivated to do the work. Allowing students to choose what they write about and how they show understanding also builds motivation. When students feel they have some say or some control over their learning journeys, they become more invested. Finally, providing learners with engaging experiences that tap into their passions increases motivation. The next point of our concern is anxiety. In language learning, anxiety mainly refers to the learner's fearfulness and uneasiness when they're supposed to speak in a foreign language. Language anxiety is inversely proportional to language acquisition, academic result, self-esteem, oral and written competence, as well as self-confidence. The more anxious students are, the less language they acquire. To guide your thinking through this topic, take a moment to consider what you're already doing to help your students learn and lessen their anxiety. Pause the video and jot down some ideas in response to the following questions. What do I do to help my students learn in my course? What do I currently do to reinforce good learning habits in my students, such as keeping up with coursework or seeking help when they don't understand? How do I help my students to see learning as a process that involves successes, obstacles, failures, and growth? Language anxiety can originate from learning difficulties, differences in social status of the speakers, differences in learners and target language cultures. Language anxiety is a psychological construct. It most likely stems from the learner's own self, that is, as an intrinsic motivator. For example, his or her self-perceptions, perceptions about others, peers, teachers, interlocutors, etc., target language communication situations, and his/her beliefs about language too. Language anxiety may be a result, as well as a cause of insufficient command of the target language. A strict and formal classroom environment is a significant cause of the language anxiety. Language learners feel afraid because of a fear of appearing awkward, foolish, and incompetent in the eyes of others. And again, you may ask, what to do? Please pause the video for some minutes and think how to answer this question. Then please read the information in the slide. Welcome back. Language teachers should identify the signs of perfectionism in the learners and should work to explore their earlier belief systems in order to help them to step down from the set standards at the early stages and then work patiently to achieve the desired standards gradually. Students should be guided as to how to direct their attention away from self-centered worries when they are speaking a foreign language. Another way to lower the affective filter is by making sure that we provide comprehensible input. Students become the more focused and relaxed, the more they can understand the language being used during instruction. Students can also resort to translation into native language to clarify a word or meaning. A safe classroom is the one in which students are not afraid of making errors. Making mistakes is a natural process for language learning and helps you to succeed. Classrooms that embrace errors as part of their learning process are more likely to decrease students' affective filters. And finally, fostering a growth mindset and modeling this mindset with students can help them understand that mistakes are a part of growth in the process of learning. The way we talk with students and our body language can also affect their anxiety. Even students who are not yet speaking English can understand body language and feel the energy in a classroom. And now, let's talk about self-confidence. For learners, especially second language learners, self-confidence plays a quite significant role because they are deprived of the discourse competence of their own native language. They may feel vulnerable, being exposed to an atmosphere when only an unfamiliar language is being spoken. Self-confidence affects people's thinking, feeling, motivation, individuals' choice of goals, effort, and persistence in the face of difficulties, and as a result, affects their achievements and performance. Self-confidence is influenced by 4 factors. Before I continue, please pause the video and study the information in the slide critically. And now, let's examine it together. Firstly, success or failure experience in learning English plays a crucial part in developing students' self-confidence. The past achievement experience has the greatest impact on self-confidence. Successful English learning experience will improve students' self-confidence. On the contrary, repeated failure of English learning experience will reduce it. Secondly, alternative experience. Learning from others' experience is an important source of individual self-confidence. People often compare themselves under the same conditions with specific people, such as former group mates, colleagues, opponents, or other people. Thirdly, verbal persuasion. Verbal persuasion includes persuasive suggestion, implication, evaluation, and advice. In many cases, individuals do not evaluate their abilities on their own. To some extent, people's self-evaluation is based on the viewpoint of authority. This information usually comes from the encouragement of English teachers, friends, classmates, and authoritative role models. When others affirm their English learning ability, the students may be more confident, put in more effort to complete the task and stick to it, or try to do things they didn't dare to do before. What we should pay attention to is that the effect of verbal persuasion depends on the degree of trust and reputation of the persuader. And secondly, is that speech persuasion without factual basis has little effect on the formation of self-confidence. Fourthly, physiological and emotional state. People's physiological condition, stress level, and emotions will affect their self-confidence. To some extent, people's ability to judge themselves depends on the change in physiological and emotional state. What's more, most adult learners have established a certain social image and are always respected. They often psychologically separate themselves from the outside world and gradually build an invisible wall to close up and form a kind of self-protection. In the process of English learning, even if they don't understand the learning content, they are not willing to expose their defects in order to maintain their self-image, which leads to anxiety and lack of self-confidence. And now, let's study characteristics of adult learners' language learning. Again, before I continue, please pause the video and study the information in the slide critically. And now, let's examine it together. To begin with, teachers often deal with adult learners' lack of successful experience in English learning. People with a strong sense of self-confidence tend to attribute failure to lack of effort or unfavorable environment, while those who think they are inefficient consider that their failure comes from low self-ability. Because of the long-term experience of failure in English learning, adult learners often do not objectively analyze the difficulty of the task, but simply misunderstand or exaggerate the difficulties in English learning. They often tend to attribute their failure in learning to internal factors, such as low intelligence and poor ability, and attribute their occasional success to external factors, such as good luck, easy tasks, and help from others. This negative way of attribution makes them seldom experience the sense of achievement and satisfaction in learning, lose confidence in their ability to learn English, doubt that their efforts will produce good results, so they often have a negative attitude and give up their efforts. Next, settings and attitudes. Again, please pause the video to read the information on your own and dwell upon it. Adult learners usually have their own work, which is busy and stressful. Some students often travel for work, which cannot guarantee the continuity of study time. English is a subject which needs continuous learning and practice and takes time and effort. If students can't spend a lot of time on English training, it's difficult to achieve satisfactory results. In addition, adult learners have a clear learning purpose. They often hope to learn specific content at a specific time and are anxious to achieve quick success and get instant benefits. As a result, they may adopt the method of studying in a rush. And of course, you may ask what to do. And please pause the video for some minutes and think how you can answer this question. Then look attentively through the information in the slide. Welcome back. To cultivate students' sense of self-confidence, we can, first of all, increase their successful experiences in English learning. English self-confidence is based on the past learning experience. For adult learners with low self-confidence in English learning, it is a feasible way to set lower learning goals. For example, English teachers should arrange easy learning tasks for students with poor English foundation and then give a positive evaluation of their progress. Secondly, teachers should provide positive examples. Research shows that people are not only affected by external reinforcement, but also by self-reinforcement. Self-reinforcement is very important to regulate people's behavior. In adult English teaching, teachers should first understand the starting point of adult learning through diagnostic tests. On this basis, the new evaluation can make adults find their own progress and improvement. In the process of evaluation, it's necessary to guide them to compare their past and present progress in a vertical way, which will enable them to find their own effectiveness and stimulate their desire for English learning and self-improvement. Verbal persuasion mainly refers to the effective encouragement and praise. The effect of appropriate praise is obviously better than that of criticism, and the effect of some criticism is better than that of no criticism. However, improper use of external rewards will not only lead to negative attribution of adult learners, but also is likely to damage their original intrinsic motivation. Therefore, the praise and reward for adult learners should be targeted, aimed at real progress and achievement, so that adult learners feel justified and feel that it is an affirmation of their efforts and abilities. Praise must be given when there is objective evidence of achievement. As for the learner's physiological and emotional state, research shows that high emotional arousal and nervous physiological state will hinder the improvement of students' learning and reduce the expected level of success. English teachers should consciously train students in the correct attribution of failure, help them make English learning plans, and implement them. English teachers should guide students not to attribute the failure of English learning to their own ability. Teach them to evaluate themselves objectively and positively, and make them gradually establish an optimistic learning attitude. Teachers should try to help students to eliminate the negative, anxious, and tense emotions in English learning, so as to improve self-confidence. Finally, teachers can also tell the students explicitly that they do indeed believe in them. Of course, self-confidence, anxiety, and motivation are closely intertwined. The goal of educators is to create such an atmosphere in the classroom where students feel safe and comfortable, where affective filters are low, and where students are able to learn. Now we are going to discuss with you some more strategies that can be employed in the classroom to help lower the affective filter. To begin with, we have stressed that it's important to know your students' interests. The platform offers us some wonderful possibilities to meet this objective. First of all, in the profile, we can fill in the following section, focusing on students' aims and learn a lot about their interests. Just do not forget to print screen and save this data in your files. Progress check allows us to focus directly on the students' goals and develop them. What's more, never forget to tap into students' prior knowledge. Always provide them with an opportunity to make predictions, list and rank ideas, and make analogies based on their prior knowledge. Then, of course, there are numerous ways and methods of motivating your students to learn and helping them develop interest in the courses. Consider integrating games, music, videos, and kinesthetic activities into lessons. And have you ever explored such wonderful courses as Life Flight and Video Practice that open a video world for the student? Lessons aimed at making the students amazed. Wow lessons, quests, games, holidays. If your student is into only serious stuff, then why not try audiobooks, articles, life hacks, and news with them? Such courses as Grammar Activating or 12 Facts About Me will surely enliven your lessons. And have you tried presentations? It is great for students of any level as it teaches them to think and structure their speech logically. If you want an unusual warm-up and cool down, there is a remarkable lesson for these stages in the lesson. And of course, legal, have you explored this section? You are in for some surprises if you study the legal section well. Do remember to praise your students for what they did well and emphasize their strengths. Furthermore, you should teach the student how to monitor and evaluate their progress. What's more, you can make thinking and learning processes visible to students from the beginning. One of the great things to reach this aim is the progress check. And also you can have with your students progress, you can make with your students a progress map or have a syllabus quiz. For syllabus quiz, before beginning any unit, ask some questions on grammar and spoken issues discussed in the unit, and ask the same questions when you finish studying the unit. This way, the students will be able to see their progress clearly. Please pause the video, study the strategies on the slide, and if you have any questions on any of them, we will be able to discuss them during the workshop. Thus, teachers can reduce negative filters and develop positive ones by doing activities to build a positive dynamics, by including students in deciding aspects of the course, and choosing activities that are motivating for the age and interest of the learners. Here on the slide, you can see a list of sources which were used to prepare this presentation for you. And thank you for your attention. And I really hope to see you at our workshop for productive work.